What is going on, everybody? My name is Dakota, and welcome back to Coda's Cologne. Today, we are going to be doing a requested video, and that is going to be fragrances that are just awesome around the house. You don't really care about performance, you don't really care about longevity, anything like that. These are going to be some fragrances that I like to wear around the house, just as far as like pure scent quality, pure scent profile, and fragrances that'll just make you happy so you can just relax and chill. So I'm just going to get us straight into it. These fragrances are going to be in no particular order. I'm just kind of picking through the cabinet, and the ones that I tend to reach for that are just going to be the relaxing ones. Those are the ones that I'm going to be going over today. And the first up on the list is going to be this one right here. This is going to be Dolce & Gabbana, the one Eau de Parfum. And as far as just relaxing fragrances go, this was like my OG one. This was one of the first fragrances I got into that had a little bit of a depth to it, that had a little bit of a richness to it. And to this day, it still holds on as just one of the most relaxing, kind of calming fragrances I have in my collection. The way they blended this, the properties of it and everything about it are just natural and relaxing. You get a lot of sweetness, you get some florals, you get some citruses. The biggest thing is you get a beautiful tobacco note in this. And everybody's normal gripe when it comes to this fragrance is going to be the performance. Well, to me, that's actually what makes it just an awesome, relaxing, calming around the house fragrance, is because I can put some of this on if I just want to smell amazing. Me and my wife can curl up on the couch. It's not going to be overwhelming because it is a little bit of a bad performer, for being honest. It's not going to be overwhelming, and it's just going to make it more relaxing and more inviting. This fragrance, and speaking of inviting, that's what this fragrance is. It's incredibly inviting. This fragrance could be very intimate, you could say. So a lot of people will view this as like a king of date fragrances and stuff like that, and that's why. And it's not going to be overwhelming. It's not going to be harsh. It's going to have a little bit of a mass appeal to it, and that's why it just kind of works in that situation. And that's what's going to kick us off. And again, that's Dolce & Gabbana, the one. All right, the next fragrance up on this list is going to be a fragrance from Kilian, and that is going to be Apple Brandy on the Rocks. So this fragrance is kind of more of a summertime vibe for me. This is one of those that has almost a chilling aspect as on the rocks. It does a very good job of kind of making it feel very misty and very cool. This has a beautiful sweetness to it. It has an awesome brandy note to it. It's got a softness, it's got a subtleness. And one of the things that I like the most about it is it has such a fresh crispness coming off the top that it's just incredibly hard not to love this fragrance. And again, much like Dolce & Gabbana the one, everyone kind of hates on Kilian, and I'm not gonna lie, I kind of bashed this fragrance when it came out as far as performance goes, because the performance on this fragrance is very poor. But the overall scent quality and the overall scent profile that you get is absolutely amazing. This is one of those fragrances that you can fall in love with, that you'll just want to keep around forever. That's what it is in my collection. This is easily a top 10 fragrance for me. And what's also nice is this is one of those fragrances that if you did spray a little bit heavy, it's completely fine. For this being a brandy rum kind of fragrance, it has a beautiful coolness to it. It's got a sweetness to it. And it's not one of those fragrances that's like warm and inviting, but it's one of those that when you smell, it's going to smell relaxing. It's one that almost has a calming effect to it. It could be from some of the cooling effect, but it has a very calm effect to it. And that's part of the reason why I love it so much. So again, that one is going to be Apple Brandy on the Rocks. Terrible shot, by the way. It is fighting like crazy with that one. But yeah. So the next up on the list, I actually don't have the bottle in my possession right now. It's on loan to a friend. So we're going to use their little brother instead. So the fragrance is actually going to be Stronger With You. Absolutely. This is Stronger With You Intensely. But the fragrance that to me is the best out of the line, that has the most relaxing properties, that is just going to be sweet, it's going to be warm, it's going to be calming, is going to be Stronger With You. Absolutely. Some of the sweet properties on that, some of the rum properties on that, the blend on it, how natural it can smell, the way that it is just like a rummy, gourmand kind of a date fragrance, makes it to be such a warm, inviting, natural smelling fragrance that is just intoxicating. No matter where it's at, you just can't get enough of it, or at least I can't. And one of the things that I love the most about that fragrance specifically is the way that you get a kind of a nutty fragrance in it, that it's how natural that fragrance smells to me, is one of the things that I think trips me up the most about it. Something about that fragrance, just the profile of it just hits exactly what I want it to be. And sometimes when you get a profile that just absolutely fits perfectly, it just makes you want to come back for more. You just want to keep wearing that one over and over. And sometimes it's hard to put that one down. But yeah, so that's going to be the next one on the list. And that's going to be Stronger With You, absolutely. I used the Stronger You Intensely bottle in the first, but I decided not to. I went ahead and put that bottle back. I decided not to keep throwing that one up in the air. And Strong With You, absolutely. On a side note, started coming back in stock in a lot of retail stores lately. So now that is going to be my next curiosity, is it going to be a 2024 to 2025 reformulation? So if it's reformulated, be on the lookout for that review to come back out. I'm hoping that it's not reformulated, because I do not think you could make that fragrance any better. But yeah, so we'll find out with that one. But that is going to be Strong With You, absolutely. Let's get into the next one. Alrighty, so the next fragrance on the list is actually a fragrance that I have not owned very long at all. I've only had this fragrance for a couple months, and it has taken no time to just absolutely become one of my favorites. And that's going to be Downtown Deja Vu by Day 3 Fragrances. They recently just switched their bottles, so if you see a new bottle, it's not a reformulation, they just got to upgrade. This fragrance is one of the most like gourmand, floral, just thick fragrances that smells heavenly. Something about this fragrance, the way they did the blend on this, smells so natural, and it has a beautiful rose note in here. And this is one of those fragrances where, as I said, like kind of like absolutely, this is one of those fragrances that on my skin, for me, it is really hard for me to put this fragrance down. This one immediately shot to be one of my top 10 favorite fragrances. I don't know what they did to the blend on this thing. I don't know how they were able to blend this thing up to make it smell so good. But for this being such a florally rose, kind of like fruity suede kind of fragrance, absolutely top tier. And like I said, on top of that, the thing that I love the most, how natural this smells, the quality that you get, the profile that you get. Because a lot of times I'm not the biggest like floral lover. A lot of times when I see a lot of florals, I want it to be like Valentino Intense. I want it to be encased in vanillas or leathers or something like that. This doesn't really have a big leather note. Honestly, the main thing I get off the top of this is going to be some of the red fruits, and then it just dries down to one of the most beautiful like rose, florally gourmand kind of sweet that is just hard to pull off. I feel like a lot of companies try for something similar to this and they wind up just going way too far in one of the directions. But this one just has such a relaxing nature to it that almost has a little bit of a cooling nature to it. Once I wore this, I kept coming back to it. I think I wore this fragrance like 4 days in a row just because something about this just blew my socks off. So that was going to be the next one on the list. And again, that is going to be Downtown Deja Vu by Day 3. And again, the bottle quality on this thing is absolutely amazing. One of the things I love the most, I don't know if this new camera will pick it up, is inside they actually have artwork inside the label. It's little touches like that that I just absolutely love. It's one of those things that you can kind of nerd out on, and believe me when I say I do. So next up on the list is actually going to point us in just a little bit of a different direction. Next up on the list is going to be Aaron Terrence Hughes' Heslut Elixir. A lot of people are really going to hate this name. A lot of people really aren't the biggest fan of ATH. And taking everything else aside and just looking at the profile and the fragrances he makes, this thing is absolutely amazing. So this one has such a fruity sweetness that you're almost overwhelmed with just the fruit side of it. And that's what I absolutely love. I like fragrances that can be deep and rich, but also this one kind of changes the gear that a little bit, and it has such a heavy, thick fruitiness to it that also just has a touch of darkness with a little bit of oud in here. And a lot of times oud fragrances can be considered very harsh. This one doesn't really fit that. This one finds a way to be incredibly light on the senses, but it also finds a way to be incredibly warm, inviting. Like I said, you get a lot of that fruitiness, you get a lot of that sweetness. But another thing you also get out of this is one of the more unique smelling fragrances. This one smells very similar to Hard Candy in my book, but other than like those two being paired together, there's not really a whole lot that smells a lot like this one. That is also going to be incredibly mass appealing and unique all rolled into one. And it's really, really hard not to like these kind of fragrances, especially one like this. I was hard pressed to put this one on the list only because a lot of the ATH stuff is incredibly hard to get. But if I'm being honest about the list, if I'm being honest about these fragrances, I don't see how I could make this list and leave this one out. So yeah, ATH Heslut Elixir. And again, I'm going to apologize for the name. A lot of people will like Hard Candy Elixir as well. I actually prefer this one just a little bit more, just because this one is a little more fruity. It's just as dark. It's just as rich. And like I said, they do smell so similar. One smells a little bit more of a woody. The other one smells a little bit more fruity. And the way they were blended on it, I do like this one just a little bit more. Alrighty, so next up on the list is going to be from the House of Replica, and that is going to be By the Fireplace. So this is one of those fragrances to me that actually is more of like an unlocked childhood memory, which part of why it makes it so relaxing. One of my favorite smells is the wood burning in a fireplace. There's something about the smokiness of it that I just absolutely love. And that is exactly what this fragrance encompassed. So as far as name to fragrance, when they say memory in a fragrance, that is exactly what this thing captures. This has such a beautiful, sweet smokiness that is just almost like a hickory enveloped smoke. And what's weird is when you smell it on your skin, you get a little bit of like a coal smell, but when you smell it in the air, it leaves such a beautiful, sweet, smoky. Some people can even pick up a little bit of booze in this. I don't get that personally, but a lot of people say they can pick up some booze in it. And even as far as the chestnuts, because chestnuts is supposed to be another big note in this, to me, it would definitely be a background note, or at least on what my nose can pick up. Because like I said, the main thing I get out of here is just gonna be that clovey sweetness that just has an overwhelming smokiness. This fragrance is probably one of the ones the most that when I wear this, I can curl up and immediately just take a nap because I'm gonna get really relaxed. It's gonna remind me of some times that I had when I was a kid, and all of the other stuff just enveloped into this is just gonna be one of those where I don't think you could really get much more as far as just relaxing than this one. Now, if you're someone who doesn't like a smokiness, if you're someone who doesn't like the smell of sitting by a fireplace, essentially, then this one ain't gonna be for you. Because like I said, as far as name to fragrance goes, this one might be their most accurate one that they've ever produced. And on top of that, for what you can get this fragrance for now, price point, this fragrance has really started to come down. I think I got this bottle for 70 bucks about a month ago. So I ran out of my old one. This is definitely 2-bottle worthy in my collection. So yeah, and again, that is going to be Replicas by the Fireplace. Alrighty, so the last fragrance on this list, this is where we're going to round it out at, and that is going to be Jean Paul Gaultier's Lamal Le Parfum. I thought about doing Lamal Elixir, but as far as the profile goes of just finding the ones that are the most relaxing, the ones that are maybe a little more mass appealing, one that I can smell all day and I'll just smile every time I smell it, it's going to be this one. Something about the way the sweet, beautiful iris was done in this smells very natural. It smells very clean as far as being an iris scent. You don't get like an overwhelming lipsticky smell. Some of the floral iris and vanilla, because that's pretty much all you get out of this fragrance. This fragrance is very straightforward. You get a lot of vanilla, a lot of iris, and a lot of floral. But the way that it is blended as a whole just comes across so silky smooth. There's no rough edges to this at all. To me, this is more of a rounded fragrance compared to Elixir, which is why I went with this one. It's going to be one of those where smelling a fragrance like this is just going to make you happy. It's going to make a bad day a little bit better. But that's kind of why I went with some of the fragrances that I did today, is fragrances that just kind of make you happy as a profile and makes you happy as a scent. That's why I said, like, we're going to throw away performance, we're going to throw away price, we're going to get rid of all that, and we're just going to focus on fragrances that smell good and will make you smile, make you happy, and that will make you want to stay in the fragrance world just to purely enjoy it. Now, I did kind of variate them a little bit. I did kind of try to go like designer niche, and I tried throwing in a blend of fragrances, but nonetheless, every single one of those fragrances are still ones that I will happily wear any day of the week, at home, chilling, going out, does not matter. But to get back on topic on this one of the things that I love the most about this fragrance, like I said, is going to be the natural quality of it. This fragrance has no rough edges. This fragrance has no harsh rounds whatsoever. This is probably going to be one of the creamiest, smoothest fragrances that someone could own. That's probably why it got so popular, is because it just smells so good. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and put this one down before I drop it. That is going to get our list wrapped up. Now, there was one or two fragrances that I left off of here just because I do talk about them so much. Obviously, it's going to be like Harriet or Wajon. or something like that. I've talked about those fragrances so much, I really didn't feel the need to put them in here. If you watch the channel long enough, you'll know that Herod is just my absolute favorite fragrance. And it can't be my favorite fragrance if I don't just absolutely love everything about it. So those two fragrances I just kind of left off here because they did get talked about so much. Yeah, so that is going to be some of the fragrances that I just absolutely love just purely as a scent. There's nothing else that goes into it. That is just scent profile. But yeah, if videos like this are stuff that y'all would like to see or y'all would like to see more, feel free to email me. Feel free to leave requests in the comments. I've got 2 or 3 different ways you can reach out and get a hold of me if you wanted to do something like that. But yeah, that is going to get us wrapped up. That is going to get us for the day. As always, thank you everyone for watching. Thank you everyone for subscribing, for sticking around, for staying tuned, watching the videos, listening to me yap about the way things smell. I genuinely appreciate all the support and feedback I get from the channel, so thank you. And as always, we will see you next time.